The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Get ready to be amazed. Get ready to know things that nobody could know. Get ready for Recovery Wednesday with America's original radio psychic, Dr. Linda Salvin, along with Candy Finnegan from the Emmy Award-winning television show Intervention. Candy brings her more than 30 years of experience dealing with all areas of recovery. Listen as Candy and Dr. Linda bring expert guests into the conversation to bring your recovery to the next level. Together, they bring you the tools and techniques that bring balance and serenity to your life. For nearly 30 years as a syndicated talk show host and metaphysical clinician, Dr. Linda has helped thousands of people worldwide solve problems on the air and in person with her insights and solutions. So pull up a chair, turn it up, and get ready for a visit with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Recovery Wednesday. Today, Candy Finnegan and I are going to be discussing relapse and returning, meaning how to recover from a relapse. So the term relapse is if you've been sober or abstinent from something and you slip, as they say in a 12-step program, deliberately or unconsciously. It's always a conscious decision, even though it may not be warranted or it might be an oops or whatever. There's always an issue, but there are ways to get back into recovery. Let's bring Candy Finnegan on. Candy Finnegan's a very well-known interventionist, was on TV for over 10 years with A&E's intervention. Hi, Candy Finnegan. How are you today?
I'm fine, Linda Salvin. So when I looked up relapse today,
yes,
it says, like any chronic illness, which addiction is, it's progressive and terminal. It says they're subject to a relapse. So, you know, when I was teaching years ago and holding groups, I remember that there was a period of times where there was a saying that you go into lapse where your behavior starts changing, your mindset starts changing, you're not calling your sponsor, you're not going to 12-step, you're too busy with life, and you get into this lapse, which in turn, if you don't catch it, goes into a relapse. And 90%, which seems incredibly high to me. I don't think it's maybe the old, as we say, 85, 86, 87 years, the class of, but 90% of everybody that goes in to first time and second time recovery relapses. That's a huge percentage.
Well, it is. And for my own personal experience, it took me 4 years of bouncing in and out of the rooms to finally, quote, surrender or admit or decide or choose to give it a try. Because I could not identify with alcoholism. I could not identify that I had the problem that I did. I was in denial. I didn't think being a periodic user meant I was with the disease of alcoholism, which I learned through the rooms that it's an umbrella term, which a lot of people don't understand. It can be any addiction under the term alcoholism, whether it's workaholic, sexaholic, foodaholic, sugar, carbs, binging, quantity eating, whatever, drugs, snorting, smoking cigarettes. There's some addiction, not just alcohol, that distracts us from our reality. And then there's always that statement that says there's no healing without dealing with the feelings. So when we're not using, we are suppressing or running or hiding from our reality. So if you could explain the umbrella term, a lot of people don't, and then the relapse, it might help people put it together that there's nothing wrong. It's just learning to commit.
No, they used to always say relapse is not a part of recovery. But the truth of it is, yes, it is. Relapse is a part of recovery. So this is from the great Gorski, who was the relapse king and had kind of the first workbook and book on it. And it says, approximately 90% of alcoholics are likely to experience at least one relapse over a 4-year period following treatment. Yeah. Similar rates for alcohol, nicotine, and any addictions suggest that the relapse mechanism for addictive disorders may share biochemical, behavioral, and cognitive components.
That's interesting.
For alcohol or drugs may be thought of as an urge similar to hunger, but that varies in intensity and external cues that evolve memory of the euphoric effect of not the discomfort or the withdrawal. Most relapses are associated with 3 high-risk situations: frustration and anger, social pressure, and interpersonal temptations. So I thought that was an interesting,
it's very interesting because I remember stopping smoking and starting again several years later, thinking one drag off a cigarette wouldn't hurt.
Oh, I think
progressive cigarettes, alcohol. Once you start, it kicks in, even though you think it's only one, right? But that's the biochemical reaction.
What do we say? One leads to a million. So, I think for me, I didn't relapse because I didn't want to be a newcomer.
I went through that once I finally got it and surrendered. I didn't want to do it again. It's embarrassing at first. It's hard. You're right.
But I just, I wasn't sure I'd get back. I mean, the pride and the ego and all of that. I wasn't sure that because oddly enough, at this point in my new recovery years ago, I knew I couldn't lie. I could lie about anything, but I didn't think I could ever lie about my recovery. So if I used again, I wouldn't go in and not say I did, because I'd be horrified that I was that weak.
But it's not really a weakness, even though we see ourselves. Of course not. It's the disease and it's our vulnerability, but it is to us as a weakness. Or why can't I stick to it? Do people relapse when they have sex addictions? Absolutely.
Probably more so than any other addiction.
Really, there's sex more than even alcohol?
Yeah. And there's many psychological reasons.
And it's not just looking for love. And I get a lot of clients, I'm sure you do too, where, well, my husband or my wife's a sex addict. Do they really love those people? No, it's not even about the people. It's the object, or it's the chase, or it's the exhilaration, or the climax. It's like the high. And then when it's over, there's the crash and burn.
Well, there's something very different about sex addiction and love and sex addiction.
Go on.
Love addiction. Very, very different. I'm a trained and certified clinician with Dr. Patrick Carnes, who was kind of the grandfather of this knowledge. So I thought it was all the same, but it isn't at all. And there are many, many different categories of self-gratification with sex. So that's a whole nother show.
Why don't you give it? Okay, we'll do that. But why don't you help country understand a little? And I didn't really know the difference between sex and love addiction. Give us a few top pinpoints on what they differ.
Love addiction is that you're looking for love in all the wrong places. It doesn't matter where you get it, as long as you get that gratification. And the 3 words, I love you, a lot of times come with sex, even though that certainly is not a part of it.
True.
And sex addiction is a very chemical imbalance almost, where you have to have, it's either compulsive masturbation or, you insist, like this one example we had where there was a married couple that had been married for 5 years, and her husband insisted upon having sex twice a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, no matter what. And if for any reason she refuses, he went into this mortifying tantrum that was like
almost like a panic, like he couldn't
no,
do it, or
like a temper tantrum. You don't love me, and you're having an affair, and I mean, it was like bizarre. And it really started truly with sexual trauma as a child and not having any affection at all from his mother or grandmother. They were non-maternal. So it always stems from somewhere, but it takes a long time to recover. Let me just put it that way. It's like a 3-year process, and there are many steps to it. And, it's like when you're dead drunk and you have sex with somebody, trust me, that doesn't have anything to do with, because you usually don't remember it.
Mickey just asked an interesting question. Why don't you ask it again? She wanted to know if there's anything wrong with wanting too much sex. I don't think so. You just may have a high craving or a big libido.
No,
it's healthy.
Well, let me say, you can have it too much if you're not doing protective sex, if you're
abusing others and yourself. Correct.
And you're running around. Linda and I both know that this tragic story of this really good-looking guy, and was famous, was an actor, and he was running around in a 12-step program having sex with everybody, and he never informed anybody
that he had AIDS. And he
died
of AIDS.
And 2 of them died, and including 3 of them. He did too.
He died.
So it's like, I don't think
you got to be responsible. It's still about being responsible, and the addiction,
healthy sex.
The addiction will still kick in where people don't care, or they don't want to use a rubber and they want to feel the flesh, and they're in the moment of the passion. If it's somebody you just met in a bar or the store or wherever, sometimes it's that instantaneous sex thing. It's not love. I get people go, but I love them. I've been with them twice. It's just not love. It's oxytocin, and it's lust. It's the hormone kicked in. Love takes time, relationship, knowledge, trust, friendship. There's so much more to love than just what you feel. It's lust versus love is a whole different process.
And it's certainly a chemical thing too.
Of course it is. But that's what the addiction process is in any of the entities or substances, because we get that dopamine rush. We get the adrenaline. We get the norepinephrine versus the endocrine system is not the endocrine, I'm not doing well today. Sorry. Serotonin, and all our hormones just start to go on fire because we're being fed, whether it's the alcohol, which is actually a depressant, which a lot of people don't see it as depressant. And then you got the pot or the coke or the fentanyl, if you survive it. You got the uppers, the downers, you got cigarettes, the nicotine, you got food, sugar, carbs goes into your bloodstream. I mean, there's so much. And it's just like the chase. Oh my God, he's so cute. I want to be with him. And then somebody sleeps with them, and all of a sudden you wake up and like, well, who are you? And you know nothing about them, or they're married, or they're not committing. And how come he didn't call me back? I go through this all the time with my clients, and then they get hurt. I said, well, don't sleep with them right away. You don't even know him. Yeah, but, and you try to enlighten the balance.
Particularly if you are chemically dependent.
Or would that also be love and sex dependent, Candy?
Oh, very much so.
Looking for love in the bars and one-night stands, or 3-month relationships, or 5 years, or whatever it takes, until they understand what's inside them to be compatible and balanced with another person. You were with a man for over 50 years. What was the secret? You fought, you communicated, you balanced, you were both sober.
Well, we weren't for
a long time. No,
yeah,
but you
almost 20 years we weren't.
Yeah, but you stuck together.
Well, we met when we were really young. We're both from the Midwest. We're both from families that were not divorced. I would jokingly like to say we were good Catholic families, but that wasn't the truth. At least he and I weren't. And the secret to my success is that he loved his work. He was a musician and just a phenomenal one. And he loved what he did. And he loved to tour. He loved live playing. And he traveled extensively. And that gave me a type of freedom that I didn't want, to be perfectly honest, but that I grew to cherish. I have very close relationships with my children. He was gone probably from April to October, 48 of the 51 years I was with him. And
and I can witness or testify, as long as we've had cell phones, this man was in touch with you 2, 3, 4 times a day. It's not like he just went on the road like some people do.
Well, I did life by myself, but I didn't do life alone.
No, he was always, you guys were always.
And, if I had a situation that used to baffle me, I never had a problem calling and asking him either for his opinion, which he had a lot of, or his help in a situation that I didn't know. But I have my own career, as in this recovery, my life work as yours, and he had his career. And so when we came together as a married couple and as a mother and father, what we did didn't matter. Who we were and being together mattered. So I think it was the best of both worlds. Plus, perfectly, he wasn't at war and in danger and a lot of other things that other wives have to put up with. I felt he was in danger because of groupies, but that's a whole subject.
I would have been intimidated or curious or jealous or concerned or micromanaging. I don't know that I could trust somebody on the road. I don't know if I'd put myself in that situation.
You do or you don't. And if you don't, you might as well get out of it. You'll go crazy. I saw it over and over and over again.
Of course you did. I've heard about it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I know. Yeah. I know. But let's get back on topic as far as relapse. So somebody relapses. They're sober. And you and I know people sober 20 years. And all of a sudden, they take a drink, or they start smoking, or they abstinence. Like with me, I thankfully have been off sugar and carbs now for 14 years, but going through that relapse, because I had abstinence, as they call it, from sugar and flour. Not only is it just to lose weight, people, but sugar and flour makes me depressed, moody. It has a similar chemical effect as alcohol or drugs to my mental stability. And when the sugar was out of my system, I balanced. A lot of people don't understand that sugar is a drug. People don't know that you could go to a fast food restaurant and eat a cheeseburger, but the sugar's in the bun or sugar's in your filters of your cigarettes. So you're getting a lot of sugar out there. And when you withdraw, there is a pain and there's a fear and there's even the parasites in our gut are craving sugar when it's not being ingested, and you get the headaches. It's all related. But sugar, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, sex. Somebody just asked another question about, what was the question, please? It popped up.
Oh, about
you think being apart helped keep your relationship manageable?
Absolutely. Because for years I made him my higher power, and that doesn't work. If he had a good day, I had a good day. If he had a bad day, we all had a bad day. And it just doesn't work. And so I think that I learned, because I came from a privileged family and I didn't do anything other than, buy clothes and shop and a few other things. I graduated from college and a few things like that, but nothing, to put my hat on. So yes, I think it made me grow up. I think it made me be responsible. And I never traveled with him. I married the man, not the job. So in the beginning of our marriage, we moved from Kansas to California. And every time he went on the road, I went home, because I didn't know how to act out here.
Well,
so
you didn't know what to do yet. You didn't know.
I didn't have any friends that were like me. And
No, not to come from where you came from and to go to Marin County during the hippie days. I don't think so.
Yeah, so I would go home. And so I kept a very strong connection with with where I came from. So, yes.
But some people are so codependent that they have to talk 90 times a day. They have to check in no matter what they're doing from the time they get up and the time they go to sleep. My mom and dad would talk all day long, but like at my mom's memorial service, the executive of my parents' estate phrased it properly because they owned a business. They did life together. They were 19 and 20 when they got married. And my mom was 78 when she passed 14 years ago. But it was like the front office and the back office. They kept it going for 58 and a half years, much like you and Mike. They worked it. They worked it. But they would talk all the time. Then there were sometimes I thought they were a little too codependent on each other, but I saw how they worked it. Now I see my father in a more codependent situation as he's aging with his girlfriend. It's not the same dynamic, but I see where he has to check in with her as soon as I pick him up, and we're like 2 minutes away from the apartment. And my sister just went like, he's already calling her and he's not even out of the driveway. So that's shifted where he, I think with the age of 94 with some dementia, he's almost afraid to let go or be alone or detached. It's a different behavior that I'm seeing. And I don't know what that's all about. I really can't interfere, but there's different phases. I don't want to say on the air what I think it might be, but if it makes him happy, that's fine. But when I hear people calling me for personal advice or when they're booking a session, well, he didn't call. And I mean, we just saw each other last night. How come he didn't call? Well, maybe he's busy. Maybe he needs a break. Maybe he's just working things through. You'll hear from him. Oh, yeah, he called that night. He called the next day. It's like, people, we need a break. We can't be on each other's phones and text 24/7. And it's not like they disappeared, or the new terms today are ghosting. You know, they just ghosted me, which I hate. And I don't like texting because you can just block somebody without communicating, saying goodbye, I'm done, you hurt me, this I feel, because even the words aren't perceived as the tone might be in the typing. So there's other conflicts just in communication with the texting. But if you need to have somebody like every hour on the hour or every 20 minutes, that's a little obsessive and compulsive when people need to just do their thing, relax, and then be there. Let them miss you, right?
Very true.
A lot of people don't. But as far as the compulsive behavior, let's go back to relapse, because you can be compulsively abstinent, sober, whatever, from the substance to the point where you're not even relaxed. Or, I'm 22 years sober and I went into the bar, or I went to the market and I bought something and I had a drink, and now instead of one drink, it's a bottle a day, or whatever the person's thing is. Then they start reaching out for help, or they don't want the help, or they're afraid to get help, or they're starting to sink. And then the people who are around them, it'll be okay, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. And then all of a sudden one day they wake up and they want the stability again. Sometimes you just can't stop. It is part of the addictive biochemical problem
brain disease
in the brain, that you can't just say, okay, I'm done. Okay, here's my drink. I'm not having it again. This is vegetable juice. But
well, if that's the case, you can stop, but you can't stay stopped. So in that case, you're most likely not an alcoholic.
And if you can stop and recover,
then if you can get help to stop, I don't know. It's a very low percentage of people that can stop on their own
and stay that way. I don't know any.
The whole obsession, so that's what I do know. I've seen it a jillion times this year.
Well, your career is helping people get sober or get help. And as an interventionist with the families and the loved ones, you've dealt with a lot of clients on TV and off who were okay and relapsed. What was your role, or how did you encourage, besides before getting them into a treatment center when they hit their bottom, to get from, oh, they were sober, they were this, they were that, then boom, they took a dive. How did you lift them back up to get them to want to get help?
Well, sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's not. If you had a pretty decent program of any kind of support, usually speaking, those people will not abandon you and will know that you relapsed and will, at least for a while, until it becomes unbearable, try to help you get back into your recovery. You know, there used to be, I know you'll remember this, a big difference between a slip and a relapse.
Why don't you define it for the people that are listening, though?
Yeah, but a slip was like you had a couple of drinks on New Year's Eve because the guy was cute or whatever the reason, and then you went, oh, no, you know, why did I do that? I lost my recovery, and they jumped back in. That was called the slip. A relapse was a whole mindset that could go on for a long time before you ever pick up. That's that lapse period before you relapse. And I think, you know, a relapse is a relapse. If you pick it up, you know, I think a lot of people that had really stellar sobriety and got injured or had an operation, and we saw it many times, were given pain medications and they didn't think it was the same thing. It was prescribed by a doctor, and they were originally taking one every 4 hours, and then in a couple of weeks they were taking 4 every 1 hour.
Right.
And
to get the same effect.
Well,
or to be, because they were becoming addicted.
You know, pills were a much faster effect than alcohol. It was between 15 and 30 minutes, where with me anyway, I had to have more than just 15 minutes.
So did I. I mean, I had 12 surgeries in the last 20 years or something, but I didn't abuse the pain meds. There were times I say, you know, I don't even like the feeling, or I'd say, I'm going to take this and that, and let's see how I am in a few days. And luckily, thankfully, I was able to taper off or stop and not need it. The addiction is where you're looking on the carpet for it. You're looking in the cabinets for it.
You're stealing, you know.
You can't live without it.
Visit people who are in pain and steal their meds. That happened all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, anything that adjusts your thinking from the neck up, if you're in recovery, is you need to think about it, you know.
It's interesting that you said that, because when I was bouncing around from different rooms trying to figure out why I felt the way I did back in, I don't know, the late 80s, late 70s, excuse me. And it wasn't until 1985 that I heard somebody say, alcoholism is that disease that you take anything that affects you from the neck up, just like Candy said. So then this beautifully dressed man in a suit and no beard, no long hair, was at a podium speaking, and he explained that he would drink or take drugs or smoke cigarettes or drop pills, and whether it was mescaline or uppers and downers. And all of a sudden I started crying because I related to the whole picture, not just the drink and not just the pot and not just the cigarettes, but all of a sudden it made sense, because I was put on diet pills at age 13. That's what they did in the 60s. And that suppressed the eating disorder I have had to deal with as an adult when I got off the pills at age 24, maybe. I'm turning 70. So it's been a long process of healing, and I keep going. I don't take them. There's natural supplements today that sort of suppress the appetite. And the truth is, you just learn how to eat without eating between meals. And that's a process. You can stop drinking. You can stop smoking. Smoking, I think, is worse than cutting out heroin, from what I hear, right, Candy? So more difficult details, you know. But the pain, regardless of what we're letting go of, hurts. It's a struggle. Last year, I lost my dog. That took me a year to heal from. Candy lost her husband 2 years ago. There's still a grief The beautiful part is if you're on a program or in a group of recovery, or you have people to talk to, you don't have to pick up the drink or the food or the joint or the cigarette just because it hurts, or you're anxious, or you're crying, or somebody backstabbed you, or you didn't get the job, or you've been rejected. Whatever it is that affects us people, you learn to walk through it. That's the hard part.
Well,
But that's where faith comes in.
With grace and support.
But that's where faith comes in.
Yeah.
You have faith. You develop a faith in a power greater than yourself, and you know this too shall pass. You've heard all these little statements out there, folks. But when you learn to apply them, it helps.
Well, it's much easier said than done.
Yeah, it is. Because at first it's like, what do you echo? What do you mean? What do you mean? Easy does it, all those little slogans. But after a while, it's like, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. How long did you smoke cigarettes? Did you have a difficult time quitting?
Oh my God, yes. Let me see. I started smoking regularly at about 18. I did it on the weekends. I went to a girls' Catholic convent school, so we smoked in our uniforms on the weekends to get back to the nuns. But I'd say maybe 18, and I quit at 43. So it was a long time.
It was a long run.
Well, that's a funny story, you know it.
Well, yeah, but they don't.
My daughter asked me for her 10th birthday if I would quit smoking, because I'd quit drinking and I was going to, kill myself with cigarettes. She was in school learning about the hatefulness of tobacco and the dangers. And I said, okay, Bridget, I'll quit smoking unless there's an earthquake. And at 4:47 in the morning on the day of her birthday, there was an earthquake. I grabbed my bag of tools and, grabbed my kids and sat underneath the table as the house shook, smoking. And she's crying and carrying on. And I think she's crying because we're having an earthquake, and she's crying because I'm smoking. And I said, I told you. And she goes, how did you get them to have an earthquake?
Like it's your fault and you created an earthquake.
And I said,
that powerful.
And so a week later I quit, because at that point in my life, I was my word to my children, and I quit. But, I thought, holy moly, there is a God. Here comes the earthquake and I get to smoke.
I started smoking at, I think I was 13 or 14, right out of junior high school. And then the first time I quit was probably around the time I stopped taking amphetamines, when my doctor retired and I knew I had to stop because I didn't know I was addicted. And then going through withdrawals and all the crazy emotions. And that was probably late 70s. And then, as people know, I was in a plane crash in 1981, and somebody on the playing field that came to rescue me asked a bunch of questions. I just said, no. I was 50 feet out of my body. I was stunned. I was shocked. And he goes, are you okay? Yeah. Are you this? Yeah. You this? That? You want to go to the paramedics? Yeah. You want a cigarette? Yeah. And I started smoking again in 1981. And then I stopped again, I think in 87 or 88. And then I started smoking again, thinking I can have just one. And it led me to my 47th birthday in 2001, I believe, when my niece she was like 4 or 5 years old. She was up at my house. And she said to my sister, how come Auntie Linda's house smells like her skin smells like her house? And that was it. It's like, if my skin smells bad to a child, what's really going on? And I stopped on my 47th birthday. So it's 22, 23 years now that's behind me. But yeah, we self-destruct in many ways, or we have to fill up that hole inside us, which causes oftentimes the relapse, to fix the emotion or the vacuum or that abyss that we all have. I don't know many people that are okay without the dark hole. We all have it.
The interesting thing is people who vape don't think they smoke.
Oh, let's talk about that for a moment, because more and more research is coming out about the vaping. It's even worse because the chemicals, and it's burning up the lungs faster and causing cancer.
And a much higher level of nicotine.
Quicker.
Although we constantly hear that nicotine is not the carcinogenic, but nicotine is the addictive substance in cigarettes. Nicotine, caffeine, all those enes, it's not the tobacco. And then, of course, they now have organic cigarettes that are made from lettuce. So you can have a salad and smoke at the same time.
Okay, and get your vitamins at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy,
Well, it's like non-alcoholic wine or beer.
Yep.
It's got the flavor. Once in a while, you get just enough in there to get a slight buzz.
Well, that's less than 1%, but if you're drinking 14 of them,
you'll get the buzz. I haven't heard about the lettuce cigarettes yet, and I don't think I want to learn, because knowing me, I'd probably find a way to smoke them. I don't want to smoke again.
Can you
and
imagine
there's the dangers of falling asleep.
Lettuce smells like? Not anything.
No, thank you. I remember a couple of times I would doze off with a cigarette in my hand watching TV, and I'd catch myself just in time before the bed caught fire or something. And that's how a lot of fires start in people's homes, because they were smoking.
I remember there used to be ads, Linda, that said, "Do not smoke in bed."
Oh, yeah, but nobody paid attention.
Commercials, and, that didn't
matter.
Stop us.
Didn't
Thank
matter.
God they didn't say, "Do not drink in bed."
Or it's because you were drinking and ended up in bed. That doesn't sound like a good thing. No, it was not a good thing.
I actually wasn't, but it's right now.
But it happens. It happens all the time. It happens. So recovery is about a day at a time, moving forward without the substance that you might be grabbing, eating, smoking, inhaling, swallowing, to run from what you might be dealing with. It might be money.
I think this is a wonderful paragraph.
Okay.
There is evidence that relapse prevention is best accomplished by developing a strategy that helps each individual identify a profile of past drinking behavior and current expectations about high-risk situations. Remember that preventing relapse is the fundamental issue in recovery.
And preventing is listening to the thought process before you take that action. Do I really need it? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? What happens if I go to the bar, if I buy the bottle? What?
Don't you remember the old HALT?
Yeah, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. We have to ask ourselves, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Think of the word HALT, and it will help you prevent a relapse. Candy explained that most addicts at one point or another will relapse at least once until they get
over a 4-year period. It says, Ms. Steen, approximately 90% of alcoholics and addicts are likely to experience at least one relapse over the 4-year period following treatment. That's the statistic. And by the way, you want to hear a horrifying statistic? Do you know what the statistic is if you go to treatment? In 2023, what your percentages are?
What, to stay sober?
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
5 to 7.
For what people don't know, treatment is a 10, 20, 30 or more day program in a facility.
Drug treatment rehab. It's 5 to 7%.
That's
is
it?
One cigarette a relapse? Well, anything is a relapse, but I don't feel. I mean, I quit smoking because it was going to kill me. I quit drinking because it was going to kill me, but in a much different way. So is one cigarette a relapse? It depends if you smoked a pack a day, and
or
then
2 packs a day, or 3 packs a day, or just to get through college, or to have after sex, and like is one cigarette.
Oh, there you go.
Are you able to just put it down and never smoke again, or is it just periodic that, all right, in another 6 months I'll take a drag? It depends on your situation.
Well, yeah, it's on what your affliction and addiction is, or your dependence.
Are you dealing with cigarette smoking, Misty? Is that why you're asking?
I don't think it was him. I think it was Mickey.
No, it's Misty. Oh, Mickey. Maybe whoever. Yeah. If you want to say what the substance is, it's safe here. It's only the worldwide internet. No, just we're here to help. We're here to answer questions. You can reach Candy Finnegan at candyfinnegan@aol.com if you want some personal assistance with addiction and recovery and what to do, or if it's a family situation and need intervening. And with me, I do more of the spiritual help on the mind, body, spirit level, where I help you through it. And a lot of times, or in the past, I've referred people to Candy to pick up where I am not qualified to assist, but I'm at Dr. Linda at lindasalvin.com. And we're here to help you. We don't just do this every Wednesday just because there's nothing else to do. We're here to give you messages and to enlighten you and to make you become more aware of what could be going on for you. And let us help you. No, I'm not addicted to anything that I know of. Okay. Well, that's good.
And you're a lucky girl. Just get addicted to us. That's all.
Yeah, become addicted to us every Wednesday, 1 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, and every other I'll be in between. Plus, you can always download on 100 different platforms. The show is now on, of course, YouTube, here on Facebook. We're on Talk for TV and Talk for Women for W4WN on the Dean Piper's Dean Station, W4WN Radio. Dr. Linda Radio is where I really want you to go to, because that's my station, not just this station. But we replay everything at Dr. Linda Radio. All my shows here are uploaded, in addition to shows I did 20 years ago, because I'm a psychic healer and a medium. There's music now. We have some of the artists I've interviewed. We've got their songs going through the system. We've got the recovery shows. We've got the Tuesday show where I've got Sharon Winters. We talk about health and DNA nutrition and how to heal your body from within with certain detoxes of superfoods. And then on Thursday, I do my show alone, where I bring clients that I've worked with on, and they testify to channeling their deceased loved ones or psychic predictions or whatever I decide to talk about on a metaphysical level. But all week long, we're here. So yes, make it an addiction, because a few of you are coming on each time now, and it's wonderful. So tell your friends. Tell your friends to tune into Candy and me every Wednesday right here on Recovery Wednesday. Because as Candy says, we're all recovering from something. So even if you say, all right, yeah, I used to smoke cigarettes, was never addicted to them, it's not true.
Oh, Mickey, you're fabulous.
Yeah,
well, go right ahead. Have one for me.
Yeah, take that deep draw. Get it into the lungs, burn it. And then that horrible stench in the ashtray, and then you got to throw it away and get rid of that smell. I'd rather burn incense over.
Well, I have to come clean, because I've smoked cigars for 30 years.
Well, that's true. That's true. That I can never understand.
It's the old saying. We have a really lovely patio, and my husband and I would sit out after dinner and smoke a cigar when he was in town, and then after he passed, I still kept the ritual up. My grandfather smoked cigars when I was a little girl, and I was the only person that would sit in his cigar room and just beg him to, blow that smoke in my face. Of course, he was smoking Cubans back then.
Which are more difficult to get here in the States.
Yeah, well, they were kind of illegal. But so I, as far as I don't smoke cigarettes, and but I have smoked a few cigars in my life, and I intend to keep it up. And as the old joke says, you don't inhale them. And if you accidentally do, you almost choke to death. So, so far, so good.
That's your thing, not mine. I still, my big thing, I think today would probably be almonds. If I really need something crunchy. Yeah, but that's
almonds. I remember you used to keep count, and there were hundreds.
I would eat tons of almonds because I was off the sugar and the flour and my body was adjusting. Not so much anymore. We play this show and people that come by here. That's great. Where are you, country? Where in the country are you that you would replay our shows? You pop up. Now tell us a little bit about you. We've got about a minute and a half. No, about 5 minutes left of the show. Where are you based? Where are you? Country, Misty, where are you guys? Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi.
Candy
Growing up, I spent some time in Biloxi, and I certainly have been to Jackson. And
I was in Biloxi once about 13 years ago to see a band play. And right on the boardwalk, I guess, is where we were, down by the casinos. It's nice there. I haven't been into the country, but yeah, keep playing our replays and invite more people, country. We'd love that. At least your real name, country.
Go for it. Oh, beautiful.
All right, Candy.
And a little humid, my good man.
It's probably very humid, and you're being facetious knowing that. Misty, where are you calling in from or texting in from? Where are you based? So we can get to know you. Whatever. People, don't be shy with us. We're open books. We talk about books. We talk about the big book. We talk about how you can help yourself stay sober, get sober, abstinent, clean, withdraw, get some help, whether it's right here in LA. That's where we are.
Or is it Louisiana?
It could be Louisiana, but I think it's LA.
I'd like it better if it was Louisiana.
We're here to help. Candy Finnegan at AOL.com, Dr. Linda at LindaSalvin.com. We're always here to help. Yes, we charge. Yes, this is our job. Yes, we help people. We are licensed. We are educated. We have over 30 years each in our profession, so we are seasoned. And both of us have been on radio and TV a long time. Both of us have done a lot of private sessions with a lot of people. Candy works with a lot of very well-known people, a grand number of celebrities, all the way down to the homeless. And I've worked with some people from the White House all the way to the homeless. So it's not where you come from. It's how you feel. It's what you are afflicted with or what you're concerned about. Candy, we got about 2 minutes left. What do you want to say?
Well, that if you start having bad thoughts and bad behavior, and you are clean and sober, or you are abstinent from whatever has kind of taken over your life, stop and think and go through a cycle of what is this going to look like? You pick up a drink, the drink takes a drink, the drink takes you, then you have another drink, and then you can't stop at one, and then you're at a bottle, and then you're right back where you started from. So,
or worse. Yeah. And Northwest Louisiana.
I love Louisiana.
I've still never been. I was going to go.
Oh, I'm a New Orleans freak. I mean, I love the food. I love the music. I love the people. I had a friend, Dr. John McRevenek, that lived there, and he was a dear, dear friend of my husband and mine. So, we love the South. But take care of yourself. You don't have to go into relapse, and you can start when you start to lapse. You can stop the lapse instead of going into relapse
and restart, which is why we called today's episode Relapse and Restart, because it's not the end of the world.
No,
you can go down, but you can always come back up. There's always
hope. You don't lose your time. You don't lose your knowledge. You don't lose the strength, or the learning that you've been taught. You just lose days.
You lose time, and then it gets a little loud. The voice starts to scream, hey, what'd you learn? No, don't eat that. Don't drink that. Don't smoke that. Don't try that. You don't need it because you know where you came from. And a lot of times relapse can take you down further than where you last were. And then getting back can be more difficult. So it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. My best friend, Candy Finnegan, and I do the show every Wednesday, Recovery Wednesday. We'll be back with another topic next week. To help you, Candy Finnegan at AOL.com, Dr. Linda at LindaSalvin.com. Take care, everybody, and thanks for participating.
Have a great
Please tell your friends about the show, and let's get more people to participate. It's fun. Bye-bye. Have a great week. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Recovery Wednesday. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com and Candy Finnegan at candyfinnegan@aol.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.